Hello, everyone. Of course, it's been a long wait, but here we are back with the podcast. And yeah, episode number 45, the great preview to the World Test Championship finale. Of course, we did discuss about the World Test Championship, the whole premise set up in the previous episodes as well. And of course, the Test cricket fans in us probably kept us away from IPL, if I'm not wrong. But nonetheless, I mean, we did see through a great IPL season with MS Dhoni clinching the title for the fifth time. And that final was quite a fantastic game. And, irrespective of which team one was supporting, all of us were very thrilled to see MS and Jaddu finish off in quite a style, and then win the trophy for the fifth time. Nonetheless, let's talk about real cricket now. The real game is here. We have the World Test Championship finale. Uh, of course, India facing Australia at the Oval, a great venue for a great set up to the entire finale and how the whole WTC cycle went by. Just to kind of uh, refresh our memories in terms of what necessarily happened at WTC finals, or rather the whole entire cycle. So the Australia naturally topped the World Test Championship points table with around, I think 67% in about 19 tests. While India just made it to the cut with about 59% after beating the Kangaroos 2-1 in the recently concluded Border Gavaskar Trophy series at home. The only series actually Australia lost in the entire WTC cycle was when they faced India, and that too away from home. And to be honest, they did show some amount of grit out there. Of course, went on to win one game, but nonetheless, Indians did enough to actually go through. Um, so India collected, I think, about 127 points in 18 tests, securing a top two spot after beating Australia. And of course, they also went on to win four out of the six series, I think losing to South Africa away and also England away. But nonetheless, in South Africa and also England, they went on to register some victories out there. Of course, the England series did not end as we all liked it to. The first four tests were captained by Virat, and the fifth B was captained by Jasprit Bumrah. And the fifth, we all know how baseball was played in that very game and how India was not able to win that prestigious test series that we all thought we should be winning. Um, of course, the one away series win being against Bangladesh, but nothing much to talk about. It was business as usual out there. So, nonetheless, as a setup or probably as a premise to the entire finale, Chris Gaffney of New Zealand and Richard Illingworth of England will be the on-field umpires. To the very exciting World Test Championship finale, Richard Kettleborough of England will be the TV umpire, and of course Kumar Dharmasena will be the fourth umpire. We all remember what happens when Kumar Dharmasena is in the finals of any ICC tournament. So of course, let's hope it's going to be as exciting as it is. What also excites me, the kid in me is very happy to see Adidas kits being worn by Indians in this final. But nonetheless, I'm not yet sure, but not very sure how much importance is given to this. But apparently, it was informed that the three stripes may not be featuring in the final because it kind of endorses a brand, and ICC has a whole set of rules and norms and regulations in relation to who's going to wear what. Nonetheless, we'll talk more about the business side of things. Firstly, the teams, the pitch, and of course, welcome, Pavan Bhaiya. Your thoughts entirely on what's actually in store, and of course, you can talk about the teams as well.
Thank you very much, Ravi, for setting that premise. Yes, the World Test Championship final of 2023, the second cycle is over here, and it's nice to see India again vying for the top honors for the second time in running. And this time they'll want to hopefully cross the bridge, and take home an ICC title, which has been eluding them for a better part of last decade. And there can be no better setting than London. Obviously, the icing on the cake would have been if the match was played at Lord's, but nonetheless, the Oval also is one of the most historic grounds, and was the ground that hosted the first ever Test match that was held in England. And here is a bit of trivia that Usually, the Oval hosts the season-ending Test match of the English summer, which happens in mid-August or anywhere in early September. This is apparently going to be the first time in the 146 years of Test cricket history that the Oval will be hosting a Test match in the month of June, which is the early part of the English summer. So it remains to be seen how these teams scope up at that location, which is traditionally a good batting strip and helps the spinners as the game progresses. But like I mentioned, it's early part of the English summer, and you can expect some dodgy weather and more or so help for the seamers. And coming to the teams, both the teams, India and Australia, are deserving finalists as far as this cycle of the WTC is concerned. They would have played the final in the first cycle as well, but for Australia losing points and getting penalized for slow over rate, which was capitalized by New Zealand. But having said that, it looks to be a mouth-watering clash between both these sides. And if we start off with India, they have a couple of conundrums in place to resolve and see what's going to be their, playing 11, because we know they got it horribly wrong in that first WTC final, wherein they declared the team one day in advance, and there was no play on the first couple of days without the toss even happening, and suddenly the conditions changed to being overcast. And despite that, we never changed our 11 and still went ahead with two spinners, whereas New Zealand did not even play one frontline spinner. So um, hopefully they get their act right this time and get the right playing 11 out on the park. I think the top five select themselves with the likes of Gill, Rohit, Pujara, Kohli, and Rahane in the mix. Nice to see Ajinkya Rahane being rewarded for his performances in the IPL and what he has done in the past. You cannot buy experience in a shop outside in the market. That's earned over a period of time, and we know that how invaluable a player he has been in the overseas conditions, especially in the last decade or so. Um, for me, Ravindra Jadeja is, a frontline batsman when we are playing overseas. He's played so well in the last 3 or 4 years, and his batting has gone up a notch. And I will not be looking at him as a second spinner. I will, in fact, be looking at him as a batting all rounder. And I'll not be surprised even if they play him at five and Rahane at six, just to break that monotony of, right-handed batsmen at the top of the order. So these are the top six, and they should be playing. Again, there have been murmurs about the decision between KS Bharat and Ishan Kishan. I personally would not take the risk and play somebody like an Ishan Kishan and make him debut in such an important match in conditions which are foreign to him. KS Bharat also has done not much wrong in the limited chances that he got in the Border Gavaskar Trophy at home. People who are critical of him not scoring enough runs should also realize that the other stalwarts of the batting lineup also did not score many runs in that series, barring Rohit at Nagpur, and then when they got a flat wicket at Ahmedabad, Kohli and uh, Shubman Gill pitched in. So he's got experience of keeping in England because he's been on a couple of India A tours as well. So I will stick with him. You always go with a better keeper in a country like in England where the ball behaves awkwardly even after it goes past the batsman. So you need a good slip Gordon and a wicket keeper. So he will be my pick at number 7. And then Siraj and Shami pick themselves as the two frontline seamers. Um, the last major decision would be whether to go in with a frontline spinner and third seamer, or go with two more seamers, making a four seamer attack, and Jadeja as a lone spinner. I would prefer to have R. Ashwin because his performances overseas have improved by leaps and bounds in the last 2 or 3 years. And he sort of got a wood over Manas, Labuschagne, and Steve Smith in the last couple of years as well, whether they have played in India or Australia. So it's got that experience. I will play him as the frontline spinner and have Jadeja as a holding spinner and bowl less amount of overs as compared to him. And then the question arises of the third seamer whether you want Shardul Thakur or Umesh Yadav. And if Umesh Yadav is fit, again based on his experience, I would play him ahead of Shardul Thakur because Shardul ideally comes into the picture if four seamers are being played, and he's at best your fourth seamer. Although he has the knack of picking up wickets at crucial junctures and scoring runs, he was, I think, the player of the match when India last won a test match against England at the Oval, where he scored valuable 50s in both the innings and picked up some crucial wickets. But it's a one-off test match, so you would like to go with experienced. I'll pick Umesh. So that'll be my sort of lineup as far as India is concerned. Like to get your opinion as well once I've gone past the Australian team, which have got a very subtle lineup, I would say, more than India. The latest blow that they received was in the form of Josh Hazelwood, who has been ruled out of the uh, WTC final as he preps up for the Ashes. So that's a big blow because him, Hazel, him, Stark, and Cummins have been an integral part of that bowling lineup. The top six are pretty much sorted out along with the wicketkeeper as well. Khwaja and Warner seems to be the last throwers the dice for David Warner. He's got a very abysmal record in England, but he's a big match player, and if he gets going, we know what he can do. Uh, and then you've got Labuschagne and Smith, the fulcrum of the batting lineup at number 3 and 4, followed by the rejuvenated Travis Head and uh, Cameron Green there, all rounder at number 6, with Alex Carey following up as a wicketkeeper batsman. Nathan Lyon, Cummins, and Stark would be the other bowlers, and I think the toss-up would be between Michael Nesser and Scott Boland for the third seamer slot in place of Hazelwood. And by the look of things, it seems that Scott Boland is a front runner at this point of time, who is a like for like replacement, I would say, for Josh Hazelwood, because he's also a bowler who does not have much of pace but likes to hone in on a typical line and length outside the off stump on that fourth or fifth stump, and whatever success he has got in home conditions has been at the back of his strength to keep delivering that ball in that corridor of uncertainty for longer periods of time. So, yeah, it's going to be a cracking match, like I mentioned, and this being the early part of the English summer, and playing with the Duke's ball, against which a batsman is never in. It keeps doing something or the other throughout the day. And I'm hoping that there's a bit of grass left on the pitch, not too much because that would then tilt the uh, favor too much in the bowler's side. You will like a bit of grass, and it remains to be seen what the captain who wins the toss does. I'm mostly leaning towards that captain wanting to have a goal first, and the test match also starts at 10:30 local time instead of 11 a.m. start, which would normally be a test match start time in England. So, uh, but the weather is slated to be very good and sunny. And that should help the pitch settle down, and good batting conditions should be prevalent on days 2 and 3. And hopefully, India will hope that the pitch crumbles a bit as the game progresses. We do have a sixth day reserve day in place for the WTC final, which proved to be crucial last time as well when New Zealand won the trophy. So we can be rest assured that there will be a result definitely in this test match. All in all, it promises to be a blockbuster, and can't wait for our favorite format of the game to start again, and uh, hopefully India can take the monkey off their back and win an ICC trophy, which the last time won in England again in 2013, which was the Champions Trophy. So those are my 2 cents on both the teams, Ravi. I would be glad to know your thoughts as well.
Oh yes, firstly to start off with the venue, right? Of course, the great setup would have been Lords and the whole hype around it, and the fact that it's a final and whatnot. But yeah, I'd take Oval over Lords any day. Mainly for the conditions, much better. I mean, when the 2021 finale was kind of rescheduled to Southampton, I was quite happy because the conditions are not very bowler friendly, and we know the kind of seam attack that New Zealand had, and I think they just defeated England 2-0 or something right before the World Test Championship finale and whatnot, right? But of course, rain being rain and how it kind of spoils our uh, hopes and dreams and everything, especially when it happens in England. And of course, not to look back further, but more to look back, look ahead. Uh, so Ricky Ponting clearly mentioned that Oval is one such ground that pretty much replicates the Australian conditions to a very great extent. I mean, of course, it's drier. I mean, like you rightly told, it gets better, and it kind of gets the spinners into the game, pretty much like a typical Aussie wicket, wherein the seamers kind of rule for the first few days, and then some adventurous batting which needs to be shown and whatnot. But let's also remind, or probably remind ourselves, that we are one such team who defeated Australia in Australia. So I think defeated Australia in Oval, especially when we last won our test there with our captain, then not very then captain, but yeah, with Rohit Sharma playing a great knock, and of course, it was a terrific test match that took place at Oval. So going back to 2021 and how we can correct now, at least there's no weather related issues. I think there was a big mess up in terms of the team selection back then, like you're rightly told, but now the nuances are little, the lesser factors to work it out. um, uh, Mainly looking at the pitch, I think the one crucial call will it be Shardul Thakur, or will it be Umesh Yadav, like you rightly told? I mean, the track today was green as hell, and but we're pretty sure that that will be trimmed further, and on 7th, I think we'll be looking at a different, uh, if not very different, but at least a far more yellowish pitch, not a greener one. So the one conflict point, or probably one debate or discussion, will largely be, will it be Umesh, or will it be um, Shardul Thakur, who can probably offer a lot more in terms of the other two dimensions of batting and fielding, and of course not to forget his heroics last time around when he played it the Oval. One difficult decision if KL Rahul was fit, right? I mean, there were a lot of talk. I mean, even Harsha Vogle was pushing for the fact that KL Rahul should be, the wicket keeper in the World Test Championship finale and whatnot. And that would have been something I would have been really pissed off with, mainly because of the keeping skills and the fact that it's altogether a different ball game, and you cannot necessarily have a Rahul Dravid kind of a setup in a test match, wherein you ask him to do anything and is kind of willing to do, whereas his primary role of batting is kind of his innings are short-lived and whatnot. But nonetheless, I won't call his injury a blessing in disguise, but nonetheless, the debate between KS Bharat versus Ishan Kishan is still a valid one to have. Both of them are very good keepers, but my I would still go ahead with KS Bharat, given even more experience that he has had. But people, I mean, or probably there's a lot of Twitter opinion saying we need more left-handers, and uh, Jadeja cannot be only one. So Ishan Kishan may be preferred on that bit. Also, a lot depends on what a captain would like to see at that very point in time, and not really calling it a Mumbai Brigade or a partiality sorts of things, but Shardul Thakur is also known as a lucky mascot for many, right? So probably that will really influence Rohit to kind of pick him, and also Ishan, which is quite close with, or on those lines, right? That could be a possibility nonetheless. I mean, all the fluff talk aside, right? I would really like to see KS Bharat keep wickets, and of course, Shardul Thakur being the option, the third seaming option, with of course Jadeja and Ashwin pretty much selecting themselves for that matter. With Australia, I mean, I think it's pretty clear they're rock solid, the bloody solid. Of course, Josh Hazlewood not being in the picture is of course a big disappointment, but I don't think there's anything that's really would pretty much stop them. Scott Boland, I'm sorry, Wizards is a terrific bowler himself. I think they'll be unfazed. And overall, when we look back, right, there'll be some amount of aggressive cricket for sure. The baseball influence is seen fresh out of Test cricket, T20 cricket. Scenarios for many players, for that matter. So we'll look at more aggressive run rates. The baseball influences being seen, and the recently concluded Test match was uh, a clear, I'll say, not an ambassador, but at least a clear presentation of what the future lies ahead, and probably Test cricket being even more boring for that matter. Nonetheless, food for thought. So yeah, let's really hoping for a great Test finale. Um, we all deserve one very close game, and hopefully not a one-sided affair. Uh, I'm really hoping. I mean, while Australia clearly start as favorites, I mean, I really hope India get that coveted silverware, much awaited, like you rightly pointed out. So, in terms of predictions from my end, right? Uh, of course, heart says India, but mind pretty much says Australia. And if India pull this off, there is no better, uh, you know, start to the much awaited streak of tournaments that we're going to play, right from Asia Cup to the Cricket World Cup to the World T20 next year, and then the Champions Trophy as well subsequently. So it would be a great start, and we would need to win the test final. So what about your thoughts, Bhaiya? What are your predictions?
Yeah, funnily enough, all the experts, so-called experts, have also been, saying that Australia are slight favorites. Having said that, they have been playing in UK very consistently over the last few years, which surprised me actually because India also has been playing in England almost every other year now, because of the finances involved in India touring overseas. So I keep it at 50-50, but I'm giving an edge to India. I'll be the quintessential Indian fan and say this time they will definitely get the monkey off the back and prove themselves to be worthy champions, and they deserve to be World Test Championship winners as well because they have been the best team in the last 3 or 4 years at home and away, and that's the testament to that fact. And this will be a proper gift to even somebody like a Virat Kohli and Ravi Shastri and their legacy, which they started or which they ought to start on once they took over the reins. And likes of Dravid and Co and Rohit also will be hoping to get on the board with this ICC title, as you mentioned that the T20, the One Day World Cup and the T20 World Cup next year also is something they are looking forward to. The support is going to be with the Indian team for sure. I mean, India gets majority of the support wherever they play, but this time you can't expect the English to be supporting the Aussies. They would want the Aussies to not have any kind of momentum leading into that Ashes series post the WTC final. So you can expect great amount of support for the Indians, even from the Poms, I would say. But Australia, they are a big match team who play superbly in finals and knockout situations. You can never count them out until the last minute. All in all, I want a fantastic test match that goes right down to the wire, and then India winning, hopefully. So I'm going to be putting my neck on the chopping block and say, for me, India are the favorites, and they want to win the World Test Championship final.
Very true. I mean, that's what I genuinely hope for. I pray for. But nonetheless, let's wait, and then of course we're gonna have a crazy cricketing action. But of course, on the western part of the world, it's a 3:30 a.m. start for me here in Calgary, and a 2:30 a.m. start for you. But of course, lifting the coveted silverware. But the best part is, the day 4 and day 5 are over the course of the weekends. So of course, I'm pretty sure if the weather is good, we will not be requiring the reserve day for sure. But yeah, let's hope India wins it, and happy viewing and happy sleepless nights. Any final thoughts for you?
No, very well put, Ravi. Let's all watch an installing final, and like you mentioned, um, we are okay to wake up at any point of the day to catch Test cricket because that's the pinnacle of our sport and the format of the game that we love and enjoy so much. Like hardly I got to see any IPL games during the past season, but I will definitely be awake right from the toss happens to follow the action. So yeah, here's hoping that all the cricket fans around the world get to view a cricketing spectacle at the Oval.
That's about it, guys. Happy viewing, everyone, and let's meet after the game. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.